Welcome to Straight Talking. Thank you so much for joining us. So, have you ever considered taking a job where you would change a child's life for the better? Have you ever considered taking a job where you could prepare somebody for independence? Have you ever considered fostering? There's a shortage in the North East of 400 foster homes. That's what we're looking for, and here to help me discuss that and answer any questions that you may have, I am joined by Caroline Matthews, who's Marketing and Recruitment Officer. Welcome, Caroline.
Hi.
And Councillor Robert Arckless. Thank you very much, Councillor Robert, for joining us. Caroline, I think it's important just to find out where you guys are coming from as far as fostering goes. So what's your job involved?
I'm the recruitment officer for Northumberland County Council's Family Placement Service. So I'm looking for both adoptive parents and foster carers for children and young people in the north, for Northumberland.
Right.
Principally, yes.
Okay. Robert, I know you have a massive job.
I'm an elected member, but I am the councillor with responsibility for children's services, which includes education, schools, skills, but also the fostering and adoption service, children's social services, basically. Right.
At the moment, as we're sitting here right now, how many children are waiting to find somewhere, to find a home?
Well, we've got about 360 or so children. That number does change on a daily basis, but that's the number of children who are looked after by Northumberland. And at the moment we're looking for at least 30 to 40 new homes for new foster carers for them.
Has that number gone up, do you think? Have things got worse in terms of the amount of children that need homes?
It has, in terms since, for example, baby Peter, there's been different work done with the social services teams and courts and families and things, and we have seen an increase in the last few years, yes.
Do you think, Robert, that's because things have become more formalised? I know this is quite an interesting...
I do think society is different now. In the past, perhaps, there would have been more informal arrangements. Now that's much less likely, and we do also encourage, wherever possible, the links with the birth family.
Right.
So if there are arrangements that can be followed through, but that's a different kind of fostering. This is we're trying to encourage people who aren't family members to think about fostering.
In terms of the difference between fostering and adoption, people will say, oh, that's a silly question, Anna, but I think there are still quite a lot of people who don't fully understand the differences. So just explain briefly, Caroline, what are the differences?
Well, it's certainly not a silly question, because we do have people who aren't sure whether fostering adoption is the right route for them. In essence, adoption is where you become the legal parent of the children, and with a foster carer, whether you're doing short to medium term work, which is anything from a few weeks up to 3 years, depending on the child's care plan, or long-term foster care, where the older children will come to stay with you till they're ready to fly the nest. It's still a job role, although you are a carer at the end of the day, and you're working with children's in your heart. That's the fundamental difference. It's a job role versus being a legal parent to a child.
Yeah, because actually that's interesting, because I said foster parents, off air just before we started, but that isn't how you refer to it's not a foster parent. What is it?
Foster carer.
Right.
And it is an adoptive parent. So that explains, if you like, what the difference is really. And one can become the other, so you can be a foster carer and go on to adopt, and sometimes that happens, but the vast majority of foster carers remain as foster carers.
I think people, I know just sort of anecdotally, a couple of friends of mine that have thought about it, and I think the process seems quite scary. Do I have to be in full-time employment? Do I have to be straight? Do I have to be in a relationship? So what are you looking for?
We're looking for the right people, and it doesn't matter in all sorts of ways. If you're in a same-sex couple, if you're a single person, if you're disabled, financially, yes, we would look at the financial circumstances, but you don't have to be mega rich. It's about whether or not you're the right person, the right couple who can take a child into your home and give them love and support. So and that can come in all sorts of different ways.
So people shouldn't let their circumstances put them off.
No,
Absolutely
I mean, in
not.
terms of foster care, there is actually a wage, a fee paid as part of that. So some people do choose to have some kind of part-time flexible work, but with Northumberland you get a regular weekly fee, and that's regardless of placement. That's kind of like a self-employed based retainer.
Is it appropriate to ask what that is, or?
There's two levels. It's about £105 or £184 a week, and that's not tax, that's your take-home sort of self-employed pay. And that's paid whether you have a child staying with you or not, and that helps people to afford to foster as well, and to be able to take it on as a job, a full-time job.
So in terms of the child's needs, you know, they are expensive, I've got 3 of them. In terms of feeding them, clothing them, all of those things, does that come out of that money?
No, that's your individual fee.
Right.
On top of that, when a child's staying with you, you get an allowance which ranges between about £127 up to about £219. This is paid in different age brackets. So you can get up to about £1,700 a month in terms of fees and allowances as a base level of pay like that.
So what's the initial process, Robert? So if somebody's watching Straight Talking now and they're thinking, you know, I have got it. I thought I couldn't do it because I'm unemployed, or I thought I couldn't do it because I was in a same-sex relationship. I could do it. I want to work with children. What's the initial thing that they have to do?
I'll make contact with the county council in our case, and you can do that by phone, or you could go on the web where there's a particular section of the county council's web page which is all about the process. So that would be the first stage, an initial inquiry, and then it would follow through, and you would be able to get questions answered and given whatever support and advice and information that you needed. And there is a process which is similar in fostering and adoption, but there would be the opportunity to talk about your interests and what would be expected of you in return. There's training opportunities, so there is a process there, but it's not scary, and we're not there to catch people out. We want to give people support, and obviously you have to be realistic. We're dealing with children's lives here, so we've got to get this right. So it has to be a thorough process. But at the end of the day, we're not about trying to catch people out. If there are genuine folk coming forward who think they can help, then we're more than happy to give them support and encouragement and good advice.
This is something, a career that you've really got to think about wanting to do because you want to do the job. It's nothing to do with the money. You've got to want to do the job.
Yeah.
You know, being a parent isn't easy, and some of these children will have come from incredibly difficult circumstances. So will people get a lot of support into how to deal with some of those situations?
Absolutely. You definitely wouldn't be on your own, and you would be encouraged to accept that you will need help, so you've got to be able to pick the phone up or talk to somebody anytime you feel like it, and that's part of the deal.
In terms of the actual training, do people have to, would they be trained, you know, in Northumberland, or you're not going to get sent away on a course and stay in a travel lodge, are you?
No, but we have a local course. It's usually in the southeast of the county. It's a 3-day programme that you take on after your initial visit with the fostering social worker, and that gives you your next level of the actual job role. It talks more about why children come into care and what your role is, and how you're very much part of the team in terms of you're a part of the corporate parenting team. You know, you're there with the social workers and education people as well. So in terms of that, the support, like Robert said, is huge. That comes from the initial training and then through your 4-month assessment after that as well.
So,
sorry.
Yeah, no, so I was just going to say, for people that are thinking, you know, what support do you get? You don't just take a child and then you're left. There's plenty of help.
Definitely not.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come back after the break and we're going to meet Pat, who has been a foster carer for quite some time, and get her experiences and find out straight from the horse's mouth exactly what it's like. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for watching. We're going to be back in a couple of minutes right here on Straight Talking.